Well, hello, everybody. This is John Burgos, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And Denise and I were speaking right before we just went live. And Denise was sharing that she was really surprised about some of the topic of conversation that was going to come up. And I had to remind her, of course, this is beyond the ordinary. We're always going to keep leveling up, and we're always going to the boundary, push the boundary and walk on the edge of what's possible, because we're constantly expanding. And the information that comes in, the signs, the facilitators that show us what else is possible, how else we're accessing more consciousness, more love, more awareness, they show up everywhere. They show up everywhere if we know how to pay attention, if we know how to slow down and listen. And also, if we're open to receiving information from different sources that feel aligned with our heart, that feel true to our mind, so we can relax into and receive and receive and receive. And then we trust even more as we walk that path, and whatever was illuminated somehow leads to something beyond perhaps what we could have created by ourselves, or illuminates something that we were stuck in or didn't make sense. And so we're going to walk that path with Denise today. And we're going to use it with animals and our shared spiritual legacy, going deep into that conversation. This is going to be so much fun. And we're also going to open up to Q&A with Denise. So if you are interested in asking a question, does it just have to be about animals, Denise?
Well, the animals are great access points, but what you'll find is that through me, the animals talk about broader aspects of your life. So you might ask about their behavior and it turns into your career path.
Well, you know what, since we've got you on, welcome. And I'd love it if you describe to everybody that's on the call right now what it is that you do. Give us a little bit of your background and how you're translating, again, this cutting edge for all of us in your unique way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that intro. And I love the idea and what we were talking about before, that when you open up to new and accept new invitations and you're connecting with high vibrational people, new information floods in. You know, I was telling you in April that once I got the invitation to join and we set a date, all this information flood in, things that I never really thought about. And so, little background on me: I worked in advertising for 10 years, did the whole, advertising on Madison Avenue, decided it was time for a change. And I always loved pets. So I decided to transition into dog training, of all things. And as I worked with, pets and their humans, I thought there had to be a better way to honor their relationship beyond the traditional sit, stay, fetch. And so that's where animal communication came back in. As a kid, I was highly intuitive. Like many of us, I shut it down in the corporate world. And then in being in contact with these animals, they started opening my heart and my intuition more broadly. So I started getting messages for the animals as I was doing the trainings for the humans. And they taught me how to translate their behavior so that I can match up different behaviors and messages that they're conveying and translate it to how it's reflecting a bigger theme in people's lives. So, sometimes you look at, a bark and it goes beyond a bark, and it's really more about, are you stepping into your power? Are you, taking on that creative project that you want to so badly, but you're avoiding because of self-judgment? So in my experience, working with the animals is an access point, and then it helps you really see your true self and get you from where you are today to kind of the highest level that you can be.
Amazing. So into getting into the highest level that we can be, animals right now are really, it's really pronounced, and you see it, that they're really helping us to access, again, collectively, a new awareness, another preparation into where we're heading to. And so what are you receiving in that? I love it if you can share, like, what's streaming through your awareness and your communication with this realm.
So, it's interesting because I'll tell you the story of like how this came to be, and it kind of leads into that. Because what the animals really wanted us to talk about and share is our shared spiritual legacy, right? So it all kind of started this new layer of awareness with your invitation. And then, January 1st on the new year, I decided that I was going to go for a hike. And so what does one do in LA? They Google, best hikes in LA, and one popped up that had a cool little stone labyrinth. And I was like, you know what? That sounds great. So I go there, I hike up the mountain, and as I'm walking up the mountain, it was palpable. The energy, the vibration was getting higher, the frequency was getting higher. I just felt something was going on. It overlooked the Pacific Ocean. The trees were like perfectly placed. The breeze was beautiful, and I was alone. And so I walk and I come upon this beautiful little stone labyrinth, and it might have been the size of an area rug. Like it wasn't this like grandiose thing. And I already knew what I wanted to let go. In January, I have, an anniversary or something that I'm like, you know what? I want to work through that. I don't want to have that, stigma anymore. So I step into the labyrinth, I set my intentions, and I start walking this tiny little circular path. And as I do, John, I can't even express to you the feelings that came up. As I was walking through, I was so touched because I realized I was releasing something. And then I would see little stacks of stones left by others who also had walked that same path and wanted to release something that might have been burdensome or painful. And so when I got to this, by the time I got to the center of the labyrinth, I was just so connected. I felt an open heartedness, a compassionate connection with everyone who'd ever walked that labyrinth, with the animals and the birds that were singing and creating this beautiful soundtrack, with nature itself, even with the dolphins and the whales, that Pacific Ocean below that I couldn't see, but you just felt that connection. And it was an expansion that I could not describe. And honestly, that article did not disappoint. It gave a great tip to go there. So I left, I came home, I was integrating the experience. And, a few days later, I was going for a walk, burning off those holiday pounds. And halfway through the walk, I was just stopped in my tracks. And this is where the animals sat me down and literally like 6 pages of notes poured out of me. And what they really wanted to talk about was this download about animals, our shared spiritual legacy, and how they have been accompanying us throughout our spiritual evolution, and really helping us inform and make decisions and kind of comforting and guiding us, even in the most critical points of our evolution.
Wow. Well, what's some of what they revealed?
Okay, so I love this. So, what they were really showing me. They started off by showing our relationship with the animals, and we go way back with our animal companions. One of the things they started off showing me, and maybe this is because my mom was an art educator, but the first thing they show me is humans' first creative expression, which was the cave drawings in France. And when mankind for the first time picks up a stick and some paint, what do they paint? They choose to paint animals, of all things that they could have painted, and specifically horses. And that kind of got us back to the mythology of creation, how humankind came to be. So they brought me back to the Garden of Eden, right? Because in the Garden of Eden, they showed us how we were connected to that oneness consciousness. We were tapped into nature, to God, or whatever the Bible talks about as the higher source. And animals lived alongside us, and not only did they live alongside us, but they helped inform some very critical decisions. Cut to snake, and snake's invitation to Eve and the conversation to eat the apple, right? But the thing about that is the snake got a bad rep, right? If we go back and we talk about, what if rather than what religion has taught us, what if snake wasn't really manipulating or tricking us? What if it was a partner, a collaborator, as we decided how we wanted to walk our human experience? So if we kind of go back and use the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve as a starting point, if we look back at mythology across cultures, cultural anthropologists say that 5 times fast. The same story spans millennia. It shows up from ancient Greece all the way to Guatemala. The story of paradise lost. We see it in ancient Greek culture. We see it in Sumerian culture. We see it in Egyptian culture. We see it in Chinese Taoist tradition. And in every single story, there's this common theme. And the commonalities across all these stories are connection to consciousness, the sense of abundance, never being in lack, and the connection and communing with animals. So the other thing that every single story has in common is that humankind took an action, and from that they fell out of grace, or things changed and they were kicked out. It was paradise lost. And so what the animals kind of bring through is they wanted to explain to us that it was not something that happened to us. It was not a decision that we were not part of. As the human consciousness, part of this paradise and communing with animals and nature and our higher selves, we decided to take on what a lot of us call the grand experiment, right? Knowing what oneness is, what would it be like if we experience disconnection? Because at the end of the day, humans are curious. And so as a collective, we made that decision to separate. And as our like amazing brothers and sisters and the most loving thing that the animals could do, they said, we will walk that forgetfulness alongside you, but we'll remember and we'll hold for you that remembrance that we are all one, that we can connect, telepathically. We're going to guide the way and bring you along with little spiritual breadcrumbs so that while you're fluttering around and figuring it out, we'll be that beacon of light and hope. So in our connection with the animals, they really walk alongside us to remember what it is to step back into oneness.
That's wonderful. How does that show up in your work with pets and animals and the clients that you work with?
For me, I think the biggest way that it shows up, because different animal communicators get different kinds of information. Some get, specifically the dog or the cat says, I like this toy, or, a lot of medical intuition. What comes up for me is more about what's going on in the human's life. And the biggest thing right now that the animals are helping the humans remember is, what are their gifts? What are they here to do on Earth? What's their mission? What are their skill set? What modalities work for them? And they are also reminding us more than ever of our connection to the stars. So they bring in information about, galactic families, all that to remind us that we're grander than this little human suit that we perceive ourselves to be.
Amazing how that shows up. And what you're aware of also is that there's that cyclical nature of
Mhm.
how we expand and kind of contract and maybe assimilate and go back and forth. What is being shown through your communication through the animals about
What was
how
so
we're evolving?
Yeah, so this was so interesting because, part of what they were talking about when they explained, humans, our shared spiritual legacy, is the reason why a lot of it was triggered through this labyrinth walk was because we do have an evolutionary path that's cyclical, right? And so the way that they kind of explained it to me is that there's a finite number of lessons and themes that as humans we're here to learn. That's why archetypes and universal themes associated with our chakras, like that's why they ring so true, because there certainly is a finite number. But there's many ways, just as my grandma used to say, there's many ways to serve up okra, right? So if I'm dealing with abandonment issues, it might manifest itself in many different ways. With my animal companion, they might be reflecting it back to me with separation anxiety. In my human relationships, it might be playing a very different role. At work, same thing, right? So all these things manifest in different ways. And so as we work with our animal companions, we're able to kind of go through an up leveling. And the imagery that they shared was very much that of a spiral. And so if anybody's been to the MoMA Museum in New York, it's a round building and there's a ramp that kind of winds up. And so as you go up the ramp, different artwork shows up on the walls. And so that was a little bit of the parallel they're drawing for us, right? With our ascension path, we're going through the same cycles, we're revisiting the same themes, they just might look a little different. So if I get to start with my animal companion, say one of the themes I'm working on is boundary setting, right? If I get to start at the bottom level working with my animal companion, and through traditional training and maybe working with, some separation anxiety or whatever it might be, I kind of work through that. I learn how to set healthy, loving boundaries. My animal companion becomes a dress rehearsal. And once I've kind of moved past that, I can go to the next level where at that same spot, I might be, a few feet above, but now this boundary setting looks different. Now it looks like, okay, now at work it comes up. Now I need to do boundary setting with my boss. And then once I've kind of conquered and passed that one, then I go up and it goes into an intimate relationship. So everything that we're working on, we've seen before. Think about the pandemic, for example. This isn't the first time that humankind has gone through a pandemic. But the way that our generation has experienced it is very different from our ancestors, just given the way that, the global community is wired and how we're all kind of interlaced in that way. And so we're experiencing the same thing, but from a higher perspective. So one of the things that they're saying is that spiral cyclical nature helps us up level so that the same theme can be dressed in different clothes and kind of get us higher and higher in that level. And as we go up, we get closer and closer to that remembrance of the oneness.
That's so wonderful. I love that awareness of that. How can someone with their companions, with their pets, um, discover what that theme is and find out what it is that is pulling them against that edge and growing in different ways?
Yeah, so this is one of my favorite things because what I found is that our animal companions, they will get as esoteric as we'd like them to, and then as specific as we need them to. So, one of the messages that they brought through, and it was a few years ago, I think we might be on the anniversary of it because it was right around the March equinox. After working with dog training and working with the clients and tapping into more of that animal communication, I woke up one day on the equinox and this whole system poured out of me. And what I call it is translating beyond behavior. And it's really a roadmap where we can map out different pets' behaviors with what the energetic theme is associated with it. So if your dog has on leash reactivity, for example, you might want to look at issues surrounding the first chakra, about feeling grounded, about feeling connected, about abundance or lack thereof. If they have separation anxiety, it tends to be the second chakra. One of my favorite is if they're having accidents, it tends to be linked with the sixth chakra. And those requests that they're making of us to really live more mindfully, right? See beyond illusion into what truly is going on in our lives, see the bigger picture. So they've really helped us understand everything from the granular, how their behavior reflects bigger themes in our life, to more esoteric, where do you come from the star system? So there's all sorts of amazing information.
Amazing. So what happens also with like these species animals whose migration patterns are changing as the climate changes and we have whales showing up where they weren't before, or there's an extinction of big cats, in Central and South America. What's being demonstrated there for us through our connection with the animals?
And so this is such a lovely story, right? Because as humans, we might feel that we want to control that, like, oh no, we have to help, or we have to change, or we have to do this. And sometimes that is indeed the message. But truthfully, as mindful pet lovers, advocates, groupies, we know that our animal companions, just like us, they come to this earth with purpose and a mission. And in the case of the big cats in South America, their mission is done. So they're kind of closing up shop and saying we're done here. For the whales and the different animals with different migration patterns, what's happening is they're responding strongly to the shift in the energy of the globe with the new children coming in, who are a lot more attuned, a
Mm.
lot more influential. So they kind of go where they're needed now. So the animals are really wonderful at helping us anchor the energy in certain places where it needs to be, and exiting once that is complete, and letting the next set of energy come in and hold the space.
So you don't see them as victims, as something that they're suffering because of things that we've caused. You really see them as really a flow of consciousness and expanding into really where they're needed, and they're growing into those spaces as well.
Absolutely. I think the same way that we can have compassion for humans, if we believe in soul contracts, if we believe that there's a master plan, that we had a soul blueprint, some of us have signed up for things that are pretty difficult. That doesn't mean we still can't create change from it, try to create different legislation, new rules, advocacy on a 3D level. But in the same breath, we want to keep in mind that there's a divine plan that they're following, that they have a consciousness and a mission just like we do. So I always caution being too, like I never want to sound callous, like, no, it's their soul contract, let it be. I think it's kind of finding that balance and that duality. And that's what that spiral is, right? It's finding that level of like, okay, we're ready to up level and let go, but we still want to go into the 3D aspects of it. Okay, now let's go into the 4D, the 5D. So I think with everything balance, we're still human at the end of the day. We still can affect change for our companions when needed.
Absolutely. Now it was so great. Before we started the call, you told me about this dove that was showing up at your window. And I want to get to the dove that was coming in, because if you don't have pets, the messages are there if we pay attention. So tell us about the dove. And then again, for those people who perhaps don't have companions with them now, had them before, have an affinity or don't,
Mhm.
how can we interact and have awareness of what's being shared with us?
So the beautiful thing is, and if y'all believe it, I'm a dog trainer, I'm a pet intuitive. I actually don't even have a pet.
Mm.
So, if I had a dog, he would be in daycare all day. So for those of us who don't have an animal companion, or maybe our animal companion has transitioned, or maybe we've never even had one, we can still tap into the wisdom of the animals. If we think back to, symbolism, the Native American cultures, they're so lovely at really harnessing the symbolism of the animals and understanding their wisdom, their messages. I think to totem pole and the power between, of the animals that are depicted. Even countries, flags have animals. So animals, whether or not we relate to them and we love them, we know their archetypes, right? They hold that archetypal wisdom. The owl is the old wise soul. The dolphin is the playful spiritual adventurer. So with all animals, they're here anchoring a specific energy, helping us remember certain wisdom, whether they live with us or they show up on our balcony or in a statue in bronze or an artwork. We can always glean a message. I always giggle because in school, I hated math, I hated chemistry, but English literature was my thing. And when we could do a whole like 5 pages on like the symbolism within one paragraph, I was in. Like I shone. That was my jam. And so that's really truly what it is. It's looking at the symbolism behind the animals, even simply as a messenger of the universe.
Mhm. Yeah, it's wonderful. And again, there's so many ways to interact. I want to get into Q&A pretty soon, because so many people already have their hands raised and opportunity for more. If y'all want to ask your personal question, raise your hand or type your question into the chat box and we'll go deeper into Q&A. And also for the special offer, there's a couple of offers, and package B includes the opportunity to have a reading with Denise, which I highly recommend. Spectacular. So we'll get into that in a little bit. Tell us about the dove, though. I asked what was the dove sharing with you when she showed up to the window?
So there's the stuff, and so for me, when I lived in New York for 13 years, I was on the 22nd floor of a huge high rise, and there was a pigeon who nested. And for me, every single day I would wake up and I would hear this pigeon nest, and I would look to see how the eggs were doing. And lo and behold, one day, spoiler alert, cover your ears if you're sensitive, somebody had knocked off the nest. And so I was just devastated. And so when I moved to LA, this dove came to my window almost the first day I moved into this apartment, and has visited me ever since in the morning, and has told me that she's connected with that pigeon who really appreciated that I wasn't like the average New Yorker who was like, pigeons, I loved
Right.
that pigeon. So she came in and she was like, so you're talking on our behalf again, right? And she was teasing me because earlier today I was kind of walking on the beach, and there's this big floofy dog running around with his pet parent, and he kind of looked at me, and I kind of telepathically said, I'm like, hey, I'm going to do something good for your kind today. And he looks me dead in the eye and goes, no, we're doing a lot of good for your kind, and like ran off with the ball. So the dog was kind of teasing me. She's like, I heard about your conversation, huh? So, we can have as deep and playful conversations, or we can have really esoteric ones. It's all about your relationship with the animals.
That's amazing. And again, having those esoteric conversations. Are there any things that we can do to augment that connection, to maybe tune in and pay more attention,
Mhm.
or to even notice when our pets are signaling to us?
Mhm.
What are some things that you work with clients with in regard to that?
Yeah, so I'm a huge advocate of everybody creating their own lexicon with the universe, because at the end of the day, the universe is speaking to all of us. And the way that we can accelerate and facilitate it is by truly deciding what things mean, assigning meaning to symbols. So, one of the ways that I like to do that, I love numerology. Numbers to me, I have such a deep relationship with them. I hated math, by the way, and now I realize, or I hypothesize anyway, that it's because in math class, they don't talk about the energy of the numbers, right? It's a 1 + 1 = 2, but there's so much more to the energy of one. And what if one is followed by a five? So I use numerology as a really great way to help open up our intuition, and even pulling the numerology of your animal companion's name. You understand what tendencies they carry, what patterns they carry, what their overall vibration is, and we can start communicating that way. And animal oracle cards are always really great too. Pull them, look at the meaning, and then assign your own, because it's nice to have a jumping off point, but ultimately, you have a very personal relationship and association with animals. So by creating your language, tapping into your intuition, you start trusting yourself. And ultimately, that's what the animals are here to do, to help you start trusting yourself.
And so when they start relaxing, it's like there's something flowing within us. If the signals aren't there, if is it always behavior, or can our cat just be so cool and so collected that they're showing us something from that point also? Does it
They
always have to be, does it always have to be that something's going wrong?
Yeah, so it can be, if your dog is super relaxed on leash, that means you're probably doing a great job with themes associated with the first chakra. Their behavior models ours, or is showing and signaling you need to be more like this. So their
Okay.
behavior is definitely a great starting point. But they really start celebrating us when we start trusting ourselves. And a lot of the pet parents that I work with, once they hear the validations, right, in a reading, sometimes they'll get information being like, I thought this is what it is it? And the animal will say, yeah, that's exactly what it is. That just helps them be like, oh, good, I'm on the right path. And then we can continue relaxing into our intuition and listening to the messages. A lot of times it doesn't look the way that we expected it to. It's not like the Dr. Doolittle situation where, an animal is literally talking to me. For me, animals bring a lot of the symbolism through snippets of movies, scenes from pop culture, songs. They will meet you where you are. I'm a TV addict. They bring in commercial jingles for me, and I know exactly what they're talking about. So it's really, they will meet you where you are. Just trust that you're getting those messages.
Wonderful. Let's get into live Q&A again. A lot of people with their hands raised, and I want to get everybody to see you in action. And the special offer, you guys. Let's go ahead and go into that as I promote some of y'all to panelists. April, put the link for the special offer in the chat box, please. And you can also get to the special offer by going to your browser and typing in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Denise24. Take you to that same page. And Denise, there's two offers, and I'm excited about both of them. And it's a reading with you is always fantastic. But yeah, guide us as to what everybody will receive by participating.
Perfect. So part of what I created, and this is special for this community, this is the first time it's even offered. I haven't even shared this with my own soul pack. This is a package that is all about unleash your inner prana. And it's really what I call a virtual experience, because it could be classified as an online course. But the reason I don't call it a course is because it's incredibly experiential. With this, what we're doing is we're leveraging the wisdom that the animals shared with me through the labyrinth walking. And we're taking that meditative practice of walking the labyrinth, but we're doing so with the support of a special portal, an energetic portal in a place, and an animal sponsor that's going to help bring in some of the energy. So package A is the 4-module, unleash your inner prana virtual experience. And the 4 modules are comprised of 3 live labyrinth walk experiences and 1 bonus module. So the bonus module is really about, an intro to unleashing your inner prana with labyrinths. So this is going to go deep into the symbolism of labyrinths, about the tradition of walking, how it really helps balance your masculine, feminine, your logical and your intuitive aspects of yourself, and how it can truly help you get back to your heart, get back into your inner self. Because labyrinth walking is all about the journey back to the heart and stepping into heaven on earth. Um, the second module is going to be a live labyrinth walk experience. So with this, we're going to talk briefly about the energy of Tuna Canyon, which is where I had my labyrinth walk, and the animals opened me up to all this information. So we're going to revisit that point. Wolf is going to join us for the spiritual experience. And this is all about, gaining insight into what energy you need to release to find your path more clearly. So we're going, and of course you can bring any intention you want to the circle. You can bring your animal companion to energetically walk it with you. And a lot of people might be like, so how am I going to walk a labyrinth? Like, do I have to do a circle on the ground? And this is where technology is fantastic. There's something called a finger labyrinth, where I'm going to create a beautiful PDF with a labyrinth that you're going to walk with your finger. And in this way, we're able to transport ourselves into the portal that the labyrinth creates. The second labyrinth walk is going to be such a beautiful one, and it's going to be leveraging the energy of Pomar Cathedral in Portugal, which is where what do you call them? The Knight Templars would go, and they would walk this cathedral on horseback before battle. So in this labyrinth walk, we're going to be tapping into the energy of Pomar. And then Horse is going to be joining us, and we're going to be gaining insight into what battles we've been fighting that we're ready to walk away from and let go, so that we can vibe higher. The third live labyrinth walk is leveraging the energy of Stonehenge and Hawk, helping us trust regarding divine timing and our connection with the universe. And in each of these walks, it's going to be a meditative experience for about 20-25 minutes, and then live share with mini readings. So incredibly interactive. And then package B has everything in package A, plus a reading with me, 30 minutes. We'd pull the numerology on your name, your animal companion's name, if you have one, and we just kind of go deeper into anything that you want. And then as a bonus for both of those, you're invited to join for a 30-day preview, my membership pack, where we get to go deeper on animals. You have access to a whole library with tons of information. And the live modules for the virtual experience will be the 4 weeks of May. So the first one will be on May 6th, and every Thursday thereafter for the 4 modules.
Amazing. What an amazing offer. I love how you put these labyrinths and brought in the animals and these sacred sites, or these places where these experiences were cast, if you will, on the timeline that we're walking through now and that we're expanding from. That's so genius. Oh my God, I love this. This is exciting. This is, wow. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the animals bring through these things. I just translate it. So these tend to be incredibly, experiential, so much fun. We learned so much about ourselves, about animals, about each other. It tends to be a really beautiful space for us to connect. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, and I want to reiterate this again. Again, with Hawk, you're going to gain insight into what you need to know and trust regarding divine timing and your connection to the universe. With Horse, I love this. Oh my God. It's going with Horse into the energy of the Templar Cathedral. And where you gain insight into what battles you've been fighting that you can walk away from. That's strong, y'all. That by itself is just worth this. With the Wolf, the gain insight into what energy you need to release and find your path more clearly. This is just fantastic. And unleashing the prana, and integrating and getting into more balance and getting into the energy of your labyrinth. And in that, this is a tool that you can continue to use for life. This is phenomenal. So you have all this plus the reading for only $50 more, less than that. Y'all buy package B, get the reading with Denise, go deep. But if anything, go into the labyrinth and how these energies that are shifting, And for me, we're in this portal of potentiality right now. We're really expanding into something that is beyond what we could energetically create before. The doorways are opening for that. And in that, to seize the opportunity to let go of the drag, the heavy weight that's been keeping us back, to create with such pristine energy. And for me, I keep hearing clean slate, clean slate, clean slate. And it's just indicative of what's been happening for me, how things are just releasing again, letting go of the heavy weights, lightening the load because of where we're going. It's not necessary there. And truly we're complete. So how you're presenting this again through the animal experience as well is just so sage. I love it, love it, love it. Y'all take advantage of it. First package is $97. It's a 2-payment option. Package B includes everything in package A, like Denise said, plus the reading for $147. This is fantastic. 2-payment option on that as well. Again, the link's in the chat box, or you can go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com// Denise 24, and it'll take you to that same page. I froze for a second. I'm watching the videos up here as I'm trying to promote people, the panelists as well. Denise, let's get into Q&A if you're ready.
Yeah, that'd be so fun. It's so fun to see everyone's face and then the animals kind of crossing path in the camera.
Yeah, it's so fun. All right, so let's go to the first caller we'll take. Let's go to Courtney G. Courtney, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Nice to be here. Denise, I was curious about my exes had dogs that I like fell in love with, and then they, we broke up, and they're no longer in my life. But can I telepathically connect to those animals still, or do you have anything for me around that? Because I missed them.
Such a lovely question. What are their names?
One of them's Montana and one of them's Roxy.
And are they both dogs or?
Yeah.
Okay, both dogs. Okay, so here's the beautiful thing about that. What I find is that sometimes we're not in a position to have pets of our own. So we get to experience pets through other people. They have the responsibility, we get the connection, which is kind of great. I will tell you, some of the biggest loves of my life are pets that were never mine, that I cared for, who would stay with me. And I will tell you, they visit me still all the time. A lot of times in dreams, a lot of times they just come to my mind. There's one dog, his name is Lex. He was my first client ever in New York City. I mean, at this point, it was almost a decade ago. He still fetches me clients.
Yes.
I'll be like, Lex, go find the clients. And sure enough, he'll bring in a bunch of dogs. Or like humans, and the dogs bring in the humans. He collaborates with them to bring them in. So what I would say, the other animal companion who's so near to my heart, his name is Neville. And I just see his face all the time. Every so often I'll be brushing my teeth and I just see him in there. So what I would say is, you have that open heart towards them. They love you so much. You are still connected. You can connect kind of remotely. And for me, the times of connection that happen easiest are when you're kind of mindlessly doing something. So during the dishes, I see them a lot. Washing my hair in the shower, they come through. Or if I'm going on a walk and it's just sort of like I'm spacing out. So have you felt them coming through in that way? Like, have they come to mind? Have you heard something that sounds like them? There's a lot of different ways we can tap in.
I think I just, I look at Roxy's pictures a lot. Okay. We used to go on great adventures, and I just she moved to North Carolina and I didn't get to see her before she left. And I just she's like my love place almost, she's just like the best. So I imagine her a lot and I look at her pictures a lot.
So Courtney, here's what I'm hearing from Roxy for you. When you're, and I'm getting, oh my God, I'm getting such like warm cuddles all over. When you are going on an adventure, bring her along so you can talk with her. Also, she's saying that for you, she is your access point. So when you want to tap in with animals and connect more deeply, picture her, a moment with her, and your heart expands, and then you can get the message. We each have different access points to kind of act as portals to get us tapped more into our own wisdom. Yours is Roxy. And so just lean into that, because what she's saying is there's a lot of energy that wants to connect with you. The energy of hawk actually is coming through strong for you.
Oh my gosh. That's, I know. Yeah. Keep going. Sorry.
Some of the galactic energy is coming through as well, especially associated with Venus. So she's opening you up and setting your heart so that your heart's open and can receive even more messages beyond hers. She's your muse.
Congratulations, Courtney. And yeah, keep
Thanks.
tapping in. And yeah,
Yeah,
and just because someone isn't close doesn't mean that they're not with you, including your animals. And so we're taught that distance separates us, and it's not true. It's not true.
Learned in the Garden of Eden. It's wrong. You chose to make that decision. Yeah.
And Denise picked up on hawk for you?
Yeah, and that's beautiful, because I keep seeing them, and I'm Native American, and I have been tapping into that, and my friend just died, and I feel like my grandpa and my friend are both hawks for me. Like, so that just took my breath away for some.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you. You are so tapped in, more tapped in than you give yourself credit for. So just keep going on that path. You got this.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. All right, let's go to our next caller. Let's go. Doreen Higgins. Hello. And Doreen, we'll need to get you to unmute, please.
Hello.
Hi.
I just want to say thank you for this, Prana Pets.
Oh, yes.
I
it's
just
not mine, but it's a brand near and dear to my heart. I think they do great products.
I just discovered it because my cat Cupcake has asthma. And so I'm wondering how that somehow connects to me, number one. And number two, she sits and stares at me a lot, and I wish I knew what she was thinking.
Okay, so let me tap into this. There's a couple things coming through. I'm going to have you take a deep breath. Okay, so here's what's coming up with Cupcake and her asthma. I'm not sure when it started manifesting, but part of Cupcake's work here is clearing out for the collective. And isn't it coincidental and synergistic that, you know, she has asthma, and this whole past year of 2020 has been about breathing, right? Coughing, breathing, respiratory issues. So she's helping clear that out. Also, she's bringing forth clearing beyond just the lungs. There's a lot having to do with releasing of the planet as well, kind of releasing some of like the gases, the old stuff, kind of the earth purifying itself a bit. So she's very connected to the earth. She's very connected to the collective. And for you in particular, there's something about the heart and allowing yourself to receive as much love as you should. There's a little bit of this, like, I'll take a little, I give a heck of a lot. I give way more than I should, but I don't really allow people to give it to me because I think others can use it more. There's this interesting dynamic with love that if you accept it, you might be taking it away from someone else who needs it. So she's saying, open that heart, really receive it, take that deep breath, receive love and joy, because it's really multiplied when we breathe in the love and then we exhale it out into the world. We're not taking it from anyone else. So those are a couple of the dynamics that she's bringing up, which are so beautiful.
But I don't want to put her on any medication that the vet wants me to. So I've trying to do it naturally. Is that harming her lungs in any way? Because she's still wheezing a little bit and she does get coughing fits.
So I think pet parents need to make that decision for themselves. It's sort of like that pet parenting dynamic. What I always tell pet parents are two things. One, trust your gut instinct. As a pet parent, you are more tapped in than anyone else. I tell my dog training clients, I might be an expert in dog training, but you're an expert in your dog. So if something feels wrong to you, trust that gut instinct. And then in the same breath, I'm a huge fan, whether it's for, myself or people in my life, I like combining Eastern and Western. So I like doing energetic healing plus, if I need medications, if I feel that that's going to help me, like I'm open to it. So I'm very much like a no judgment, feel into it and see, what makes sense to you. And it might be a combination.
I've taken her for energy work and she's been to the chiropractor and stuff. Everything seems to help a little bit. which is
Yeah.
good, but I don't want to put her on steroids. I really just
Well,
don't.
add in that third layer, which is breathing with her, doing breathing exercises. What they're showing is dragon Reiki. It almost looks like Lamaze, old school Lamaze from the 80s, like the breath work. Do it on
Okay.
her behalf as a proxy. What this is really inviting you to do is step in and trust your own energetic healing powers. And for you, it has to do with breath work and using golden light through your hands to help clear out and purify her little body as needed. Whenever we're doing energetic work with our animal companions, we always tell them your free will, take as much or as little as you'd like of this, but we can set that intention. And she's also showing me you having your hand on your heart as you're doing that Lamaze look and breathing thing, because it helps act as a proxy for her lungs too.
Beautiful. Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, can you just tell me what it means when she stares at me all the time?
She's saying, come on, let's go. Get the energy work going.
Oh, okay.
Working like
Awesome.
rubber hits the road.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doreen. Bye-bye. Wonderful. All right, next caller. Let's go to Renee Russell. Renee, welcome.
Hi, John. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's great to be on the show. I love your show, John.
Thank you.
Denise, I really want to be an animal communicator myself, and I've been working, I guess working's not a great word to use, I know, but trying to develop my intuition and open up my connection to be able to hear. And I was wondering if my cat has any messages or anything that she could maybe tell you that would point me in the right direction that might be helpful for that.
What's her name?
Her real name's Zoe. She's right here, actually. You can see her.
Oh, Zoe. Okay, love it. Okay, so what's coming on? Y'all forgive me. I'm just going to drink something real quick. Okay, so fifth chakra stuff is coming up really big for you. That's why I had to drink, because I was getting it all starting to close and get scratchy. And like, it felt like if I started talking, I would just start coughing and like, I'd try to like choke it back. So that's what's coming up a little bit for you, that clearing of the fifth chakra. Do you happen to have thyroid issues by any chance? Or like glandular or something in the throat?
I don't. The only thing is I'm very like soft spoken, and I have never been a big talker. If I talk a lot, it's really taxing on me.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something there about like the adrenals, the speaking, like feeling like a little kind of choked up sometimes. The thing that's really interesting about you is you have a ton of amplified energy within your name, Renee. You have double fives, you have the 11 master number and you have the 33 master number. So the thing that Zoe is showing me is that you're incredibly connected to Arcturian energy. And because of that, that's part of your like, I listen. And then when I speak, I'm going to say valuable things, but I'm not someone who's just going to BS and like talk in circles. So that's part of it as well. So for you, what she's saying is the first consciousness to connect with is lion energy. She's saying going to the lions, the big cats, and just looking at pictures and seeing what comes through. Because for you, you're not going to hear it, you're going to feel it. She says that you're like it's the clear cognizance. You're just going to know stuff and just feel it in your heart. If you feel it in your head, that's not the message for you. If you feel it here and in your throat, that's the message. So that's going to be the litmus test that she has you use. Also, when I started opening up to animal communication, I thought it was going to be a cinch. Man alive, was it difficult. Like as a kid, I could do it no problem. When I closed down, I was like, oh, I'm going to take one course and I'm going to kill it. I couldn't get one single message. And the reason for that is because there was so much more they wanted me to learn. And if I got the animal communication right off the bat, I would have circumvented that. So very much like the labyrinth, the value in the labyrinth is you're walking in circles to get to that end point. That's the same thing for you with animal communication. So connect with the big cats, look into symbolism, play with oracle cards. That's going to prime the pump and open up to those conversations. But you have a lot of Arcturian energy, and that's why there's like, it's not like chatty Cathy. It's like you might get a couple words, but they're meaningful.
Okay.
And I'd suggest for you to strengthen what it is. It's like the artist who keeps everything within, doesn't paint on the canvas. It needs to come out. So start practicing. Write down the messages you receive. Maybe say them out loud to your cat, and maybe speak it out loud. Don't just have the telepathic communication, but did you just really say this? This is what I heard. And it's really repeat it, because you start gaining the confidence of allowing the body to attune and acclimate to the judgment of being wrong. And so as you move that energy and you just start getting used to putting it out, it gives you freedom that opens up your throat chakra tremendously. And that expression will start running more fluidly, because your body is now more confident. Even though your mind may think that it's receiving the information, it probably is. The body's still saying, no, I got to resist. So practice evoking, practice putting it on paper, practice saying it out loud. Go ahead, Denise.
And I don't know if you're getting this, John, but for you, Renee, also light language is coming through.
Oh, yeah.
The throat. So look into light language, listen to it, play with it. You might start feeling comfortable enough to just tone. It might feel like nonsense, but with that 33, that galactic cosmic energy within your name and the Arcturian connection, light language is going to help open that up and connect.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
Renee,
you.
thanks for calling in. Come back and listen. We'll run the replay. You'll be able to access that a little bit later. Thanks for calling.
Thanks.
All right, Denise, we have a question that came in from Marlene. Marlene, thank you for bringing this up. And I'm sorry. Marlene writes, both I and my son lost our beloved pets a couple of days apart, and we're extremely sad. You haven't mentioned anything about pets who are in spirit. In particular, my son is bearing heavy guilt about his pet's death. My son gave his dog 12 very loving, pampered years, but feels terribly guilty about her death.
Oh, that's a tough situation. So Marlene, thank you for sharing that. And that unfortunately is a situation that the animals trust us with, is helping them with their exit strategy. Sometimes they're able to do it on their own. Sometimes they require some of our help. But even in some of the situations that I've heard where it's been, unexpected, the transition, there's been an accident or something happened, the animals show me that they're very disconnected to or like, unlike humans where we're very connected to our bodies, the animals don't have that attachment to their physical form. So they can very quickly, when it's time to go, they just leave it behind. And then they're already in the energy and trying to connect with us, but we're still focused on that physical body of theirs. So if it can help at all, I will say our animal companions tend to come with an idea of when they're coming and going. And if the human needs longer time to kind of adjust to the transition, they might have a longer, disease or some sort of physical manifestation. Sometimes it's easier for them to just leave quickly. Like if they, went missing and we haven't seen them again, it really depends on what their contract was. But please know that our animal companions, they never, in my experience, they never leave before it was their time to leave. And they don't feel that attachment to their body. And if there's pain in that last moment, they're able to exit it pretty quickly. They don't sit around to experience it and suffer. So the other thing that the animals are saying, and the dog energy in particular, is they focus on the 12 good years and the human's heart, because that's what they take with them, is the heart energy and the heart connection. They don't think about decisions, the last moments and all that stuff. So I hope that's of comfort. And I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm sure your son and you missed your friends. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I want to add to Marlene wrote back that the last time that she saw him go out, that she suffocated in a plastic bag, and he feels that she died horribly. And so there's that trauma.
Yeah. What I've seen with that level of trauma is, while the physical body is still going through that, they've already left. They can exit pretty quickly and detach from it, because they don't have that connection to the physical. They just kind of step aside and they're gone. And the reason it was a quick one is it wouldn't benefit anyone to have a long goodbye. It was just it was the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Marlene, thank you so much for writing in, and blessings to you. All right, let's go to another live caller. Nicholas, let's get you to unmute, please.
Hello,
Welcome.
Thank you, John, and thank you very much, Denise.
Nice to have you here.
On the first of this year, my wife and I adopted a feral brother and sister that have been at the shelter for several months, brought them home. The boy is adapting. He's loving it. I've been talking to him a lot. It's going to be wonderful, all that. The gal keeps getting entangled in things. And at one point she was jumping down from the window. Her foot slipped down in between two bars and she was caught hanging off to the side from the lower part of one leg. And it took about 4 minutes till I could get there. And she's gradually doing better, but was limping ever since. So not on the medical end, but on the, how do I welcome her, let her know that this is safe, that she is really going to be here, cared for, and have a home, because she's really stuck in sympathetic nervous system overdrive. She's in fight or flight most of the time. And I'd love to smooth the transition because he's doing well.
And so a couple things come through. And what's the boy's name and what's the girl's name?
The boy's name is Raza, and the girl's name is Kuzi, Khuzi.
Beautiful. Okay. So here's the thing that's coming through. First of all, it's so lovely that you open your heart and a home to, shelter pets. That's so wonderful. And they are the perfect match for you and your wife. And even though it might feel like, oh man, this is a lot of work and there's a lot, but they are just the perfect match. One thing that's going on, and it's interesting because she's showing me that this is a parallel to you, actually more so you than your wife. The male energy, Raza, he's very well adjusted because that's the masculine aspect of you, whereas Kuzi is your divine feminine intuition. And so your divine feminine intuition, which we all have, masculine and feminine energy, your intuitive side wants to go on these adventures. And there's a lot of like this almost Peter Pan energy. Like if I sit down, I'm not going to be able to go again. So what they're asking on the energetic side is create meditation time, create moments where you're out in nature walking, where you're welcoming in your intuition, or even better, start channeling. They're saying that you have a lot of channeling abilities. So sit down and set time aside to allow your divine feminine to flow through you. So she doesn't feel like she really needs to, it's like, oh my God, he let me come out. Now I need to do everything I need to do. We want to let her know, your divine intuition, that you can relax. We're gonna honor you and welcome you into the discussion. So it's about finding that balance a little bit. And then for Kuzi also, they're showing if you can find on YouTube Reiki music loops. She just needs something to balance out that energy. It really feels almost like a ball of yarn that got kind of caught up everywhere. So we just need to kind of almost like Rapunzel with the hair. We need to just comb it out. And it's interesting that she's bringing up Rapunzel because she's saying that's how your divine feminine feels. Like, it's in this high tower and it's only accessed every so often. So when it comes out, it kind of goes wild and doesn't want to go back in.
There you go, Nicholas. Yeah, thanks so much for calling in, and come back and listen to the replay. All right, let's go to another, before I go to another caller, I want to remind you of the special offer. Again, the Lambeth experiential, what did you call it? It's not a master.
It's a virtual experience.
A virtual experience, the Lambeth virtual experience, Hawk, Wolf, and Horse, and going to these places and opening up in the live call of Denise. Amazing, $97 for that. And then add in the reading. For another $50, $147 with a 2-payment offer or option to have an individual reading with Denise as well. So take advantage of it. Again, the link's in the chat box. Y'all can find it easily. And I hope you guys participate. Again, excited for those of you who do. All right, let's go to another caller. Let's go now to Maite. Let's go to Maite.
Hi, John and Denise. Thank you for taking my call.
Hey there, nice to see you.
Likewise. So my situation is kind of interesting. 3 of my 4 pets got diagnosed with kidney disease in the last year. Unfortunately, 2 passed. And now my last kitty isn't doing too well. Coincidentally, we both had dental surgery in December in the same area, which was just interesting. But she just got diagnosed with jaw cancer a couple of days ago. She developed like an infection post-surgery. So I'm not sure what could be going on with that.
I'm sorry to hear that. I know that is a huge strain on you because you love them so much and you want to care for them. And sometimes in those situations we feel helpless. And this truly is what that is. What is your kitty's name?
Trixie.
Trixie. Okay. So what they're showing, and this is interesting, because I'm asking them about the jaw and the dental situation. She's saying that is actually more coincidental. What she's saying is that your pets came to you because they knew that they could be with you and you would hold space for them as they went through this physical experience and they passed. And part of that is you were honoring it and you didn't kind of create that scenario where it was like, what they're saying is you had a very healthy relationship with the process. And they're saying, I don't know if this is in this life, Mate, or perhaps past lives, but you were a death doula. You were able to help people through disease and the transition process and show the beautiful light and the lessons in it. So these animals in particular the kidney issues were because they came at this moment to process the pandemic stuff, because it was unprecedented levels of insecurity, not knowing what was going on, kind of, very lower chakra issues coming up. They were helping process that energy. And then it was time for them to leave. And they knew that they could trust you in that process because you carry this gift in your soul of helping people through these more difficult times that other people might not be able to handle as gracefully.
It's very interesting that you say that, because I got certified in Reiki last year, which I have been wanting to do for many years. And I want to focus on end of life services for animals and people.
Beautiful. You're right there doing what you're doing, and they know that you have that gift. You might just be discovering it, but it's endemic to who you are. So in this moment also, this is a good opportunity from a practical standpoint to start taking notes. What are you doing? What's coming up? Because these are things that you'll be helping other people through. So whatever journaling you can do, poetry coming through, like this is all preparation for you to take it to others as well.
Yeah, that all resonates so much. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you for calling. So wonderful.
Thank you, John.
One thing that we haven't talked about, Denise, and I know y'all do it, and I just know that you do, but it's important to note and to maybe be a little more intentional with it, to amplify. But Denise, the aspect of showing gratitude for our pets, for how they're showing up for us and acknowledging them.
I love that. So gratitude is one of the most heart-opening exercises. And it's interesting because what they're saying as I'm tapping into this energy and saying, all right, guys, what's the answer here? What they're saying is gratitude is not necessarily in their book saying, thank you, good job. Hey man, thank you for doing this. I see that you're doing this. It's letting your heart open. So what Courtney mentioned, that moment, how she talked about Roxy being her heart expanding kind of access point, that's what they say gratitude is. So if you can connect, the way to show them gratitude is by allowing them to expand your heart, and then they tap into that. And P.S., when we vibe higher and we're more heart expanded, they can vibe higher as well, because they're contingent. They soak up our energy. And so if our energy is really love centric, they get to benefit and bask in it as well.
Wonderful. All right, let's go to another caller. This is great. We're like going through a ton of callers today. Let's go to Lori Kleba, if I pronounced that correct. Lori, welcome.
Good. Hi, John. I love your show. I
Thank you.
watch the replays all the time. I never make it to a live. This is my first live. So
welcome. So happy to have you here.
Thank you. And hi, Denise. And I've seen you on his show before too. You're excellent.
Thank you. It's a great show to be on. John creates an awesome container.
It sure is. Hey, I had a question about my dog, Nico. And actually I have two dogs. They're brother and sister, Nico and Ellie. Nico, especially, he just starts to shake all the time in the house, like he's afraid of something. Now he just walked in my office here, and he wants to be next to me, but he just shakes, and I kind of feel like it's a spirit playing with him, like trying to scare him.
So what he's showing me is, as we, and this is so interesting because it ties back to something they were talking about today. And I'm like, how's this going to tie in? So basically what Nico is bringing through is he's shaking because he's literally processing, almost like getting a sifter and you shake out the flour. He's processing the energy. It's not necessarily a spirit or an entity that's playing with him. There's just a little stuck debris that we bring in from the day, just like we have the practice of taking off our shoes because we track things into the house. Energetically, we track things into the house. So it doesn't feel like an energy or a spirit that's like attached necessarily. It just is, if nobody's going to clean the energy of the house, he's going to shake it off a little bit. So what he's asking you to do is every time you walk in the morning or walk into a room, just give a little, like blow it out, like almost like you're blowing away the thing. Because what happens is the earth itself is a lot of the dense energies bubbling up because we're on this up leveling. And so it can come in through the land into our homes, our apartments. So we need to be more mindful now more than ever, clearing out our space, because if left to their own devices, the animal companions will do it for us. So he's asking for some assistance.
That's interesting. And I do sage my house, but I also run a business out of my home. So I have people in and out all day long.
So now more than ever, in the past, it might not have been such a thing, but now people are releasing so much that between clients, like I know saging isn't necessarily the best option. Also, it can be a little tough for the dogs if we sage too often, but
Right.
opening windows or just literally clearing it with our hands, visualizations, getting a crystal or a sound bowl, but between clients, he's asking for that extra clearing out of energy because everybody's releasing a lot. Everyone's shedding.
Interesting. Well, thank you.
Thank
Maybe
you.
maybe a dog collar with obsidian or something like that, right? Why don't we have those, or do they exist?
Yeah, check out Tefrana. We got them.
See, there you go. All right, thank you so much for calling in. Wonderful to see you. All right, let's go to another caller. Roberta, welcome. Yes, Roberta.
Hi, there we are. Sorry, I had to mute myself. How are you?
Wonderful. Great to have you on here.
Hi. I don't know if you saw, my dogs have lost their mind, and Max has been sticking his butt in the camera, and he's really been doing a show for you, Denise, I think.
That is so funny. I love Max. How are you doing today? How's the energy?
Anything's, Theodore just popped up. I don't know if you saw him, but the rabbit just popped up there.
Oh.
So you were talking earlier about a nest, and funny enough, at the office there was a pigeon nest that I took a video of today, and the pigeon was staring right. Oh, rabbit! This is Theodore. The pigeon nest was right on the second floor, and she was facing me, and the little babies were playing like right up against the glass, and so you could really see it. And they actually nest in poop. They make their nest out of poop.
Wow.
I know, so crazy. So I thought that was really interesting. You were talking about that today, and then that's what I saw. So I just wanted to share that with you.
I love that. And so, what's coming through, and this is really cool. This is a new thing that the animals have been bringing in. So thank you for being the proxy for this. They're talking about the alternate timelines, that we're no longer in timelines where it's like this or that two timelines can coincide at the same time in the same lifetime now. So, the same way that I talked about the pigeon and I lamented, it not, the nest getting knocked off, you brought in the alternate timeline in this very same hour and then the pigeons were born and they were interacting, and it was so beautiful. So this is something that the animals have been bringing in strongly about that notion of infinite possibilities. It's actually coming into play now. So never discount anything. There's no opportunity that ever goes away, because there's always those alternate timelines that are running parallel path that we get to hop in and out of. So play more, just like the bunnies, just like Theodore, take the bunny and hop into whatever timeline you decide you would like to see.
Yeah, that's so cool. Okay, cool. Max is clearly here for everybody.
I was
So
going to say also a timeline where Max is super well behaved and chill.
yeah.
Sounds
Max
good,
is so
that
happy.
exists.
Oh, look, he sat down for you. As soon as you said that, he sat down.
Roberta,
Good
thank
job,
you so
Max.
much.
Good
Yeah,
seeing you,
wonderful.
Roberta.
Okay, let's go now to Barbara. Barbara, hello.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Hey, Barbara.
Hi. I have 3 dogs, and one of them has had for the past few years seizures. They say it's epilepsy. We've done everything we could, but they can't find out why. Seizures are getting grandma. My intuition is that he's bottling up emotions. Is very, very sensitive. I've had it on my lap until now. He's really cute. He's 5 years old. His name is Prince. And I wonder if you have any other intuitions for me besides the medical is all taken care of. He's taking medication, his monthly blood exams, he's got CAT scans, everything.
I love it. So
They got insurance.
I love that. I love that you're caring. You know, I always think it's important to care for the physical body, the 3D experience, and then we get to look into the energy. Because full disclosure, I'm not a medical intuitive, so I'm glad that that part is handled. But the energy that's coming through, and he is so gentle, he is so sweet. And even before you gave me his name, he was showing me that he's not of this world. So very much like the little prince. So the energy that he's showing is he's not of this world. So sometimes it's difficult for him to like assimilate and be in this 3D reality because he's so much more ethereal than, you know, what this dimension is. You know, it's denser than his soul is. And he's saying that with you, he's been with you in a different spiritual galactic experience. So, and it's interesting because it's a planet I've never heard of. I don't even know to put a name to it. He's kind of showing me just what it looks like. And it's this beautiful softness to it. There's like soft water. It's just a very soft, loving, nurturing place. And actually what he's saying is it almost feels like a spiritual healing center, almost like a galactic spa. So that's where you two have been together. So he wanted to come and be with you in this iteration, in this physical experience, but it's difficult for him because he's not of this world. He's a lot more ethereal than the denseness of this planet kind of accommodates.
Any suggestions?
Yeah, so he's saying, hold him on the floor on your lap so you're both somewhat grounded, and play some music of like soft tidal waves is what I'm hearing, maybe even some whales in the background, and allow him to show you where you two were together before. He really wants to show you because you've shown him this experience, you've shown him so much love. He wants to show you what it was like before.
So he does remember.
Amazing.
With amnesia, correct. Thank you.
So beautiful, Barbara. What a sweet soul.
Thank
Wow. Wonderful. All right, let's continue now. Lucy, let's get you to unmute and welcome.
Yay, hello, thank you very much. I'd like to know about my dog, my beloved dog, Pantouf. He just passed away on Saturday. I had to put him to rest. And we were very, very close. Is he okay? And is there something else that I think he did his mission. Is there something else I didn't get or?
So thank you for sharing his energy with us and joining us and telling us about him. He's a special dog. He transitioned on the equinox. You know, that is the sign of an incredibly balanced, special dog. And the reason that he has crossed over to the other side is he's bringing you closer to the energy of other humans who've crossed to the other side that you miss and haven't been able to connect with just yet. So using him and your pure love for him and that unconditional loyalty that dogs have you're able to recognize his energy. And once you recognize his energy as a beacon on the other side, then you'll be able to sense all the people that he has lined up to connect with you as well. For a lot of us, it's a little more difficult to connect with humans that have transitioned versus animal companions, because relationships are a little more complicated. So that's why he went. He wanted to get you open to connecting to those who have transitioned, because there's still some lessons and words, is what he's saying, that you need to hear from those who have transitioned to be able to move on with certain things.
Whoa, okay.
Wonderful. Denise, how can she listen? What are some things she can do to tap in that way?
And so what I would do is, now that you understand that your connection, and I know you already understood, but now that you got confirmation and validation that your relationship with Patouf hasn't ended, and you understand why it had to happen, just like we talked about with Courtney, allow your love with him to open your heart and just listen. You might also, if there's anybody who's coming to mind who's on the other side, you might even look at a picture of them and just say, I'm ready. I'm ready for the communication. Bring it to me however you need to. And then know that it might not come, like a words or something. It might come through a song. It might be that that person brings through a song that you two used to listen to, and a line in particular is the message. So be open to it coming through in different ways, because they communicate to us through all sorts of methods.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, holding you in our heart. That's beautiful.
So wonderful.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to Rami. Let's get you to unmute, please. And welcome. All right, Rami, can you unmute?
Oh, sorry.
All right, there you are.
Sure,
Hi.
who's calling me. How are you guys? Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to share this story. When I was about 9 years old, I have 2 dogs. Like and Kelly, I still miss them so much. My dad have to get rid of them because we couldn't have, enough food to feed them and, giving, support them. I've been told through the years that they still walking next to me, and I feel sometimes, so I think I can feel that sometimes, like they're around me. But God has blessed me with this dog that is a rescue dog. His name is Yoda. He's about 2 years old.
Great.
This is my Yoda, and I've been telling my husband that he came in January in 2020, even like around before the pandemic started, to support us, to unite us more. Yoda has been a light being to our family. I don't know. I feel like even I lost these 2 dogs when I was little. I've been rewarded with this one, because when I was a child, I couldn't do anything to protect them, to save them, because I was like 9 or 10 years old. I wish that my dad, couldn't go in that direction, but sometimes, there was no other choice.
So Rami,
And
what's your question for Denise?
that I want to know if she can sense if my Laika and Kelly are, still coming around me to protect him to me, and if Yoda has something to do with them, or maybe Yoda is an incarnation of them or something. These dogs can
Let's see what Denise comes up with. Yeah.
On other dogs and come back to you. They find a way to find you again or something.
Let's see what Denise comes up with.
Intuitive. You are so intuitive. You're so tapped in. So your dogs from your childhood, what they're saying is they are forever indebted to you and your family. They want you to shift your perception of how you're seeing what happened, because what happened is they needed, and this is the words they're using, they needed a soft place to land, to kind of get acclimated before they could move on to the next family that needed them. So by you and your family giving them the love, the attention, the nurturing, the food, the safety that they needed, that allowed them to go where they needed to go. So they're forever grateful to you, and Yoda is their gift to you. They've been walking alongside you, and they say, it's time for us to, she needs this. So they brought Yoda. It's their gift to you. So Yoda knows of them. Absolutely. And you're so connected. You're so tapped in. Those dogs have never left you. And that love for them is because you played a critical role in their life and they're grateful to you. So the same way that John asked about gratitude, they're not grateful to you. They're not saying thank you. They're showing you gratitude with the connection for life that you share with them. And now it's manifested in Yoda. So he's part of that. He's your little gift.
Congratulations.
Well, Yoda was, I forgot to say, Yoda is a rescue dog. So
Of course.
he was found on the street and it was given to me.
Beautiful. Yep.
That's
He's your little rescue gift.
Awesome.
You're so
Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to another caller. Let's go to Kim S. Kim, welcome. And let's get you to unmute, Kim.
Okay, there. Hi.
There you are. Hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My question is, I've got 2 Labradors and I've had them for a couple of years, one for about 6 and the other for about 2. Yesterday they got in a pretty bad fight, and it's been about 3 or 4 months since their last little fight. And what am I doing wrong? What is that message for me? Is there anything I can do better to, they're both males, and I understand there's probably some natural competitiveness but am I aggravating that situation or something?
So there's a couple things that they're bringing through. First of all, they want you to know that you're not causing anything. So it's not, this would be bound to happen anyway. So from a traditional standpoint, of course, we want to provide beautiful, benevolent leadership. And that's really part of it, is you stepping in and seeing that you know how to be a leader. And it might not look like, the Cesar Millans of the world. We stay away from that stuff. It's you finding your own voice. And it might be a whisper. It might be how you carry yourself. It might be setting those loving boundaries with them. And they're saying, as you work with that in a traditional training capacity, and you learn to I have to hold my energy differently. Okay, got it. That's going to translate to broader things. But they're saying also there are a couple things going on when these tips happened. One, planetary alignments. They were I think Saturn must have been involved, or Mars or something. They're saying, they pick up on that. They're a little bit of lunatics in that way, that they respond to planetary action. But also they're showing that there was an aspect of you where you beat up on yourself. You're one of those people who, when you're mad, you beat up yourself, never someone else. Even if it wasn't your fault, you beat up yourself. So it's a little bit of that reflection and mirroring of, it was brother against brother. It was self against self. So just kind of be mindful of that. And it's their way to draw attention that they only want you to speak kindly to yourself. They only want you to lead yourself in your actions through love and compassion, the same way that you'll do so with them.
There you go, Kim. Kim, you're muted. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. That sounds really perfect. And they were kind of mad at each other all that day. And that really also makes sense about the planetary alignment. Thank you, Denise. Appreciate it.
Thanks for sharing.
Okay.
The special offer with Denise, again, the labyrinth, the 3 power animals, if you will, coming through so strong. And again, with those sacred locations and the energy that's emitting through there, that's a powerful special offer.
Also, I think one thing that is really powerful for us as pet parents, as people who love animals, is also the labyrinth aspect to it, because we've had a few readings now that it really had to do with balancing the masculine and feminine, or balancing how you speak to yourselves. And labyrinths are all about helping you balance. The journey into yourself is as important as the journey out, where you're assimilating. So it's letting things go and then stepping out as the new you. It's balancing your left aspect with your right aspect, the yin with the yang. So I think that it's interesting that the animals brought through this notion of labyrinth walking as a tool for anyone, just to find more balance in their life.
Yeah, and thank you for reminding me about that component of the special offer. Also, I was blown away about the connection with the animals and all that. The balance part, the labyrinth part, which is this medicine wheel, can take us into. So it's phenomenal. And what I love about you, Denise, it's not just animal communication. And I won't say just animal communication because it's so phenomenal in how you're tapped in, but your ability to connect into these multi-dimensional and esoteric intelligence that we have access, and how you bridge it all together to create, again, this pathway, or illuminate what's possible from the intelligence that's awakening for all of us in human consciousness. So it's amazing. The special offer, the link is in the chat box. April will type it in there in a second. I think it's already in there. There it is. It's probably in there 5 times now, but I hope y'all take advantage of that. Again, the package A is $97. The reading is another $50 on top of it to get everything. Go there. And of course, the special, the replay will run all weekend long. We'll send the link up for the replay a little bit later this evening. And you can always access replays by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. Denise, any final words that you have for us tonight in connection to the energy that's been running on the show?
Yeah, one of the power symbols, if you will, that have been coming through, which is so interesting, and I can't say this to save my life, but the symbol of medicine, which is the sword with the snake spiraling up it.
Because this is...
Yes, thank you. I can't say that to save my life, so I don't even try. I rely on you. But that symbol is coming through. If any of us want to focus on our connection with animals as healing and bringing us back into that remembrance of our wholeness, that's such a powerful symbol, because if we think about it, it's a symbol for wellness, for soul medicine, but it's that connection with the animal and spiraling up, just like our up leveling is. And our animals are always walking alongside us. They always have been from the get-go, and they're holding the remembrances that we're looking to tap into. So if you're looking for a spiritual guide, if you're looking to connect deeper, our furry friends are the perfect ones to access and open our hearts. Because when we do, that's when we have the initial foot in to be introduced to our cosmic allies, to the elementals, to all sorts of energy that wants to come in. So animal communication and connection with our animals is the starting out point, and then they open our world into a whole other multi-dimensional experience, which is so lovely.
Yeah, and something else, and Gabrielle, thank you for writing it. Gabrielle reminded me also the pack, the membership that people get access to in the special offer to go in and have these conversations and expand and get the library of so much priceless information that you share. That's including a special offer, y'all, as well. So Gabrielle, thank you for writing about that. So wonderful, Denise. Yeah, this has been so wonderful, as always, Denise, the way that you share and articulate and bring hearts into the connection, and your compassion is just, it's amazing.
Well,
thank you for
hosting me, and thank you to this beautiful pack for sharing and talking about your animal companions and just being part of this discussion. It's so lovely to be here. Thank you so much, John, and April also, for everything you do.
Yes, you're very welcome, and thank all of y'all for being on the call today, and your energy and your love, and just how spacious you feel, and again, in that expression of that heart resonance that you all emanate so beautifully. I bow to each and every one of you. Namaste, and look forward to seeing you on the next call. Have a great evening.